Welcome, friends. You're listening to Let's Sip and Chat, where we talk and laugh about relatable and often unexpected real life. Each week, we chat about diverse topics, passionate interviews, and our own unique perspectives. So sit, sip, relax, and get ready to chat with us.
2, 3. Welcome back to this week's episode. We are chatting about relationships. Y'all, we're about to spill all the relational tea and just kind of like where we've been. And, we've all been in relationships and they've all been different. So we're just going to talk about that.
I think it's something that everybody can relate to.
Yep. Literally, relational.
Yeah. Okay. I think during relationships, I think for me personally, communication has been something that I'm continue to learn to do, right? So I don't know for you ladies, like how is communication?
Girl.
Communication is it's hard to work on when that's one of the issues in your relationship.
Ooh.
I think communication is one of those things that become hard to work on when I think like pride.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I say it? Pride, because for example, before Christ in my life, right? I used to say that, well, there's two dominant people in my relationship. Darren's dominant, I'm dominant, and no one wants to give in. Now I know that that's just pride. Right? Yeah. Being prideful. Like, I'm not going to give in unless you give in. I'm not going to apologize unless you apologize.
Right.
Or you should know better. You should already read my mind. Because come on, ladies, how many times don't we say...
They have to read our minds.
See?
You don't know what I'm saying? You're not reading my mind right
How
now?
did you not get that?
Right. So I literally just told you with my face.
Yeah. So I feel like for me, I've been working on that. On communicating, like, what I like, what I don't like. What I'm thinking, instead of saying, well, you should already read it in my face. Like thinking that, because I don't know, guys are just built different. They don't, you can even tell them and they still won't catch on, regardless if you tell them
things.
you can tell them what it is that bothers you, and they'll be like, what are you talking about? You never told me that. You're like, what are you talking about?
And like, why does that bother you? Like, I think I was just telling you all, like, I just had this conversation with Ree, like, I had a headache, right? And he's like, you always have a headache. And I'm like, I don't always have a headache. I mean, granted, I probably have a headache once a month because we all know. But I was like, I just have a really bad headache. And he's like, you always have a headache. I'm like, just ask if I'm okay. Just say, are you okay?
Simple.
I'm sorry you have a headache. And he's like, so I don't have to do it all the time. And I'm like, well, kind of. And if you just took your time to be like, are you okay? And kind of sympathize where I'm at, maybe I wouldn't have a headache as much. Like, it would be less. And he's like, this doesn't make sense. This girl math is not mathing. But I'm like, I'm telling you what I need or what I want. And so it's just funny how it
That's
works.
crazy, because I tend to have a headache, like, often.
All the time.
And they'll say the same thing. You always have a headache. I'm like, can't you just be considerate
You're
and, like, help me out?
You're broken.
I've
He's
gotten that
like,
before.
it's always something going on in your body or in your head or something's always wrong.
And I'm like, I had to break this down to I'm like, don't you understand that for a woman, we only have like really one good week where our hormones are kind of like steady.
Right.
Because you're either coming off your period, going into your period, or you're just going into this weird week where you know that it's gonna come. And then you only have the 1 week where you're basically normal. It's hard being a woman, okay?
It really is.
It really is.
It's a lot of hormones going on, and
And kids and life, okay?
everything.
And then if the hormones become imbalanced, now we got issues. Then we got
We're all over the
chin
place.
hairs popping up, and we got things happening that we don't want to happen, and it's unexplainable. We cannot stop it.
Our younger viewers are like, what are they talking
What are you talking
about?
about? Just hit 30. Hit 30 and you'll know.
Yes, it's crazy. You hit the 30s and then you're waking up wondering why you feel a certain way, why does that hurt, or
I don't have as much energy as I had before.
enjoy your youth, man. No.
Or another one too, trust.
Ugh.
I feel like trust and communication are like a big one in a relationship.
sure.
I feel
Trusting your partner.
like I trust now 100%. But I feel like in the beginning, just like if you're gonna tell me you're gonna do something, I trust that. that you're gonna do that. And then if you don't do that, then I'm like, I can't trust you. You know, now it's gotten better where I'm like, just do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's in the Bible. It says, let your yeses be yes and your no's be no. I didn't understand that back then. Now, basically,
Stick to your word.
in like a language that everybody can understand, it is just, if you say you're gonna do something, don't flake, just do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had to learn that. Like, I have to stick to what I said I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You know, so trust-wise, I feel like it can be broken very easily with anything.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, trust has been a big thing for us only because I think what happens is you have expectations, right? And that other person doesn't meet the expectations, and sometimes you're like, that trust could be broken, and it really has nothing to do with that. And something about like hitting like a 10-year mark, like for me and Rudy, like we've hit the 10-year mark of marriage, and like you just been together for so long, you're growing, you're changing, and like something is happening at 10 years. Like things that I think satisfied us before in our marriage is not satisfying us now or serving purpose in our marriage now. And I was telling Annie, I'm like, I feel like all we're doing is fighting lately. One, we know the enemy's at work and he's like really trying to destroy marriages. And two, like we're growing and we're changing and seasons are changing and life is different and the economy is different and there's inflation and all of that plays a role in our relationships. It's just crazy.
Right when you said the inflation, I was like, yeah, thanks, Biden. Yeah, it's crazy.
For me, trust, I remember the beginning of our relationship. So my previous relationship, it was just toxic. And
Toxico.
what I wish I would have changed at that time when I first met Dominic was I myself, I felt like I already had let my previous relationship go. But then once I got into a relationship with Dominic, I was having trust issues. Like, let me see your phone, or who are you talking to, you know, or who are you
You're
texting?
bringing some of that stuff
So
in
I
from that
brought
previous
that old relationship
relationship.
into my new relationship, and that's a big no.
Yeah.
Because
But
then,
it's hard,
and
right?
because then you still have to learn how to like get how to trust your partner. You know, like he didn't do anything bad to me. It was my previous relationship. You know, so that was a big one for me, and we're good now. But it was I had to work.
And
work
even
on it.
like not just that, like for me, I had trust issues in life in general with other relationships, other family members, things that have happened, trust with friends that have been broken.
That
So
too.
you know, that sometimes carries into your personal relationship. And so yeah, that was a huge thing for me, is like learning how to trust. And then what do you do if that, because like people aren't perfect, what do you do if that trust is broken? You have to forgive and just keep trusting or trust again. That part is always hard.
It is hard.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to communication, because I feel like communication is something that you're always gonna be working on. Like it's not something that you're gonna master and then it's all good.
Right, because it always changes.
It literally is, because what happens on the days where you're like, hey, I can't give you 100% of myself, I could give you about a 20. And then if you're not communicating with the other person, hey, this is how I really feel, like I only got 20% in me today. If you don't communicate to your significant other that's where you're at that time, then how do they know? And what if they're at like a 20 and all they can give you is a 20, you can give them a 20, and then you got kids and life and everything. And I feel like because that communication is not, you don't speak about it, you're just kind of like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And then it causes like, you know, problems.
Strife, yeah.
And then you're like taking it out on your kids or whatever. I feel like I'm learning to shake off the mom guilt. Like if I need a nap, I'm like, I need a nap. And I just leave and go to my room and close the door and take a nap. And before I was like, I have all this mom guilt, like my child is out there. And I'm like, dude, relax. It's not like your child is dying. Like he's with his father. Like nothing's gonna happen, you know? And I've learned to communicate that I'm tired. I need a break. I can take a nap. Like it's okay for me to go down. Like, you know, like I started to, I don't want this to sound selfish. Like I'm putting myself first, because I feel like if I'm not operating at 100%, how can I take care of my child?
That's true. No, that's not selfish at all.
That is true.
I think that's something that we all need to learn as women, especially. how to do that. I mean, because the famous thing that's always quoted is when you're on an airplane, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first and then put the mask on your child, because if you don't do that, you can't help them. So if we're not operating at full capacity for ourselves, we can't. We're gonna be nothing for the people that we love.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm learning to communicate when I'm feeling down, when I'm tired, whatever it is that I'm feeling, I'm learning to communicate that to Dale so that he can see where I'm coming from and help out. Because other than that, I would say, how can you not tell I'm tired? And then get mad.
Expect them to know.
And how did you not read my how did you not read my mind?
You didn't see my face was written all over my face.
Yeah, but there's times that I'm like, I don't feel like cooking dinner or whatever. I seen this. My sister sent me this post where it was like this lady was saying that when her and her husband are like, for example, like she's filling out at 20%. She'll tell her husband, I only got 20% to give you today, and he picks up the rest.
Nice.
You know?
Wow.
And then, or he would tell her, hey, I'm only at this percentage, and she's like, don't worry.
Yeah, we recognize that when one is lacking, the other will just automatically like pick up.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably just being together for a while. And like we've said that, it's like, oh thanks, like when I'm down, like you're there to just like kind of just pick it up.
Yeah.
Or if I'm in a down mood, you're in a happy mood, and then it brings me up, and vice versa. Like it kind of just happens that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's also because we love each other in Christ too, you know.
Yeah.
And so God will always help us in our times of need, and He will use the person closest to us, which is normally our partners.
But you guys had over 10 years of practice to communicate.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
And the communication has not always been there.
Yeah.
Especially at first. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I loved the abuse. Like, mental abuse. Because that's all, like, I would sit in. The enemy would lie to me a lot as a kid. And so, I liked that. And so I would, like, pull it out of him. And that was so bad. Like, I want you to mentally abuse me because I'm used to that, because I'm so defeated in my head. And then he's like, I don't want to do that. Like, he'd walk away and I'm like, keep fighting. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
And so I'm just being honest, like it was not always there.
That was
at
like
the beginning.
a toxic
Yeah,
trait.
it was super bad. And now it's like, I don't even want nothing to do with that. And like, I know who I am now, and you know, I don't listen to those bad things, and I don't let the enemy mess with me in that way anymore.
That's so crazy, because there's a lot of people that live in that, they thrive in that toxic environment. Now I'm like, I want nothing to do with that.
Me too.
I feel like me and Daryl, like even arguments, we're kind of like, we kind of just look at each other and we're like, yeah, I don't even have the energy to do that right
Seriously?
now. Like, I'm out of here. And I think that goes with like the longer you're with somebody, where you're just like, no, I don't even have energy to like argue with you anymore. Let's just communicate, because that works a lot better.
Like, I don't even have the capacity. I don't even want to entertain those thoughts right now.
And
Like,
when you guys are
no
communicating, don't be sarcastic. My sister uses sarcasm so much, like sarcasm straight up, and her husband's always like, if you would just communicate with me without your sarcasm, we wouldn't argue. And I tell her all the time, you know, you piss me off because you use sarcasm.
It's how you say
And
it.
she's like, she doesn't even realize she does
On
it.
the delivery.
Yeah. So don't use sarcasm. Like, just stay away from it and just try to communicate as clear as possible. Just like how you communicate with a child. You know, visual contact.
And don't cry wolf. Like, that was something that like I had to like help Rudy with at first when we first got married, was like crying wolf. Like, you pretend like something's happening and it's not happening, and then they'll keep pretending until the actual thing happens and it's real, and then I'm not going to believe you because you played about that thing so much. And so that was something that we had to learn. I'm like, you cannot do that, because I'm not going to believe you when you're really hurt or something's really going on.
Right.
Because you've pretended so many times and played games so many times.
Daryl does that.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, Daryl does that. And I'm like, stop lying. Like, just tell me the truth. And, yeah, I know what you mean.
Because I think that could make mistrust too, you know?
Yeah, I'm always like, are you lying? Are you telling me the
being
truth?
serious?
Look at me. I think, man, that's crazy, because I'm always telling people, look at me when you're talking to me. But I think, okay, I'm having like a breakthrough moment. My dad is like big time liar. Big time liar. Like, it's not just me as his child that knows that he's a liar, but like my sisters, my mom, his own family is like, dude, your dad be lying. And I feel like because I grew up with like someone that's always lying, and then now my husband, even it's like a little lie, and I'm like, why are you even joking? Why are you even doing that? Like, yeah. And I feel like I'm always telling people, look at me when I'm talking to you. Like, I do that with everyone. So if I've ever done that to you guys, my bad. But I do that with everyone. I tell my sisters, look at me when you're talking to me. I tell my son the same thing. But now I know that the reason I do that is because of it's always been like since I was a kid, like the lying. So I feel
the
like
trust has been broken.
Yeah, so I feel like if I'm asking you something and then I'm looking at you dead in the eye, you can't lie. How are you gonna lie to someone when you're staring straight at them?
And if you do, it's like, we need to pray for you. You need some deliverance.
Yeah, because so that's a whole breakthrough in this episode. But
my mom and my sister always compare me to my dad, because all the time my dad would say, "Oh, where are you?" He'd be like, "Oh, I'm getting close. I'm like 2 minutes away," and he's like barely leaving the house. And that used to be me.
Bro, I hate that.
And she'd be like, "Why are you lying?" Or my sister's like, she's not getting close. She's barely leaving her house right now. So I was like,
that's down. I'm in the freeway. He's in the shower. I'm like, why are you lying?
Our first date, mine and Don's first date, I was late 1 hour.
Dang. He was like, you stood me up.
So now I tell him, like, you should have known. It was our first date. I'm gonna still waited an hour.
What did you tell him?
I told him I was already on my way, but I was barely doing my makeup at the house. I know, that's not good.
He really loved you because he just, okay, I'll just wait here.
That was our first
He had
date.
nothing else to do anyway.
Yeah, he didn't.
And what
He's gonna wait for that girl.
That still?
He does. He used to always say, you're gonna be late to our own wedding, or just like little things like that.
That's crazy. I'll make sure you get there on time.
Imagine he's gonna be like, she doesn't want to get married.
He's all at the altar.
She stood me up.
That is so crazy.
So what advice would you guys give to people who are in like a new relationship, or newly married, or just coming into dating?
I feel like whatever relationship you are in, whether you're barely getting to know the person or you're barely got married, I feel like the number one thing you should always do is like, what are your intentions up front? Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because like how Hannah said, I brought past relationship into my new relationship. Yeah. And it's not just you, like we have all done it where we bring in whatever happened over here to the current one. And then you bring all those toxic traits and hurt and everything into the new relationship. Yeah. And then you're like doing everything, taking it out on that person, like if that person was the previous one, So I would say just be honest up front. Because like, for example, me and Daryl, we dated when we were like in high school, right? And then Daryl wanted to be a little player and have a little girlfriend and not tell me. I ended up finding out, right? And then I just broke it off. I was like, you should have just told me. Like, if I would have known, just not lying to me, Yeah. But he did that. So when we ended up getting back together in 2014, I told him straight up, I don't want to have to see your phone, check your phone, see what you're doing. Like, I don't want to. It's just so much energy to try to track you. I don't want to do none of that. So I just told him straight up, if we're going to be together, we're going to be together. If not, just let me know up front. If you ever find someone else, let me know up front so I don't waste my time. Yeah. Like that, just straight up.
Be up front.
And I feel like that was a big part in basically when we started again dating, where we didn't have those trust issues because I felt like I already told you what to expect. So like your expectations up front. Obviously, don't do it on your first date, right?
As you guys are dating.
As you guys get to know each other, be honest and upfront with what you guys want.
Yeah. And I think another thing is like, be a whole person. Like, go to therapy, get inner healing, get deliverance, get all of those things first, so that you don't struggle. Like, me and Rudy really struggled at the beginning of our marriage because I didn't have those things fixed, and it did make our marriage hard at the beginning. And so I would stress now how important it is to be a whole person. Don't come with, being a half a person because you didn't work on this other half of you yet. Like, come ready for that relationship as a whole person.
That's a big one. Yeah.
That is a big one.
I mean, and that goes for like whether you're dating or you're newlyweds, And then if you are newlyweds, don't, how would I say, like, don't keep anything a secret. Don't even, in Spanish they have the saying where like, don't make good things look bad.
Uh-huh.
You know, like, you know how that is, like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know if this is a woman thing or this is just me, but basically I'm married to a spender and I'm a saver. So I'm always like,
I'm a spender.
I'm always like, we gotta have something on the side in case we run into a rainy day. But that's something that comes from childhood. My dad was a spender where he just blew all of it. He didn't even care. And my mom would always have a rainy day money, you know. And I feel like in the beginning I was doing that and Dad didn't know. And then when he found out, he looked at it like, why are you hiding it? And I'm like, I'm not hiding it. I'm just saving it so that we have backup. I wasn't doing it to save it for myself, but it looked wrong, you know? Like, how would you feel if your significant other had money and you're like, wait, what is that? Yeah. So, just little things, that's just an example of my relationship, but just don't make things look bad if they're not bad. Like, be upfront. Yeah. Now it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Now he's becoming more of a saver. Or like Dominic likes to say, you guys are cheapy.
Dominic, I'm the saver in the relationship.
Yeah. And I feel like you can run into problems like that being like the saver or like just if you're not like upfront with things, you know, like that's what I'm saying. It all goes back to communication.
I like to spend, but I do love this about Rudy is that he's understanding. He's like, I don't mind if you want to spend it, but save for it. Like, make sure you have that money for that thing you saved up for and then you bought it. Like, you didn't just, like, put it on credit or you just didn't buy it frivolously. Like, you were intentional about it.
Like
Save your money
impulse
for
buy.
it and then get it. Yeah, so I'm like, I do like that because he's not saying, oh, don't buy this, don't buy that. He's like, save your money for it and then buy it.
Yeah.
So I have learned to appreciate that. Because otherwise I'm like,
No, Dan
Just
is
get it.
an impulse buyer. Like, he
That's
doesn't
not
even
right.
look at the tag. And I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Like, do you know what you could have done with
he said,
this?
just throw it in the bag.
Yeah. I feel like I'm rubbing off on him now, you know?
Really?
Yeah, because he's expensive. Like, he likes expensive stuff. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Dom
So
doesn't
that's
like me going with him to the store.
Because you're like,
Because I'll talk him out of it
Yeah.
and he won't buy it.
yeah. Daryl is the same. Well, in the beginning, it was more like he felt like I was controlling it.
But yeah.
You know, like, you're telling me what to buy. Don't tell me what to do. You know, like that control. It's crazy because it can turn into control real quick.
Oh, for sure.
can.
It
You
can.
know?
Yeah, especially as women.
Yeah, it can. And that's one thing I'm learning to let go of, like, the control part of everything. Like, just everything.
I know. Dom always tells my mom that he didn't like me going with him to the store. My mom's like, me too. Because I always talk my mom out of buying everything.
Don't let them go shopping
My mom
together.
doesn't even look at the price. Never.
That's crazy.
She's
What?
like, yeah.
It's one time she was buying a dress and she said she paid, I think it was like $100 something. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
$100 for a dress? It was just a simple dress.
You're like, Mom, I could have bought like 7 on Shine.
For real.
See, that's me. Like, I'm always like, I could have got that at a better price. Dad doesn't like going to the pulga with me. To the flea market. Because that's like,
Bargain.
I love that place.
Yeah.
You can hassle all those, everything
Mhm.
down.
Vendors.
Hey, I only got this. And Dad was like, oh my goodness. Don't
Here she
hate me. Nah.
Another thing that, sorry not to cut
No,
you
it's
off,
okay.
but another thing that I found super impactful for my marriage was premarital counseling. Like, I didn't want to, but I knew like it was right, and so so I would definitely suggest it. It was helpful for us.
I've never gone to like, what is it? Marital counseling?
Premarital counseling.
I should have probably done that. But I did everything backwards. I had a kid before I even got married.
I mean, our stories are all different.
But I feel like I would still benefit from that. Because I feel like, you know, you just have like still things from the past, like traumas and stuff as a kid. And sometimes you're working out things, like God's working things out. But I feel like there's still some, I feel like there's 2 of you, so things could be faster for one of you than the other.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like that would still benefit, like we would benefit from.
Yeah. I mean, me and Rudy even talk about it now. Like I said, like we hit the 10-year mark and everything is different. And like we even talked about like we wouldn't mind going to counseling now and just kind of like revisiting some of those things. Like, why are we in this marriage? And like, you know, asking the Holy Spirit to show us. But we wouldn't mind going to counseling now and kind of just like working that out.
You know, it's so crazy right now that you're saying it. It's crazy because we set goals for everything else, right? Workout goals. Like I was just telling Nana this. You set goals or you make lists for everything. You go to the grocery store, you have a list.
Yeah.
You have things to do, you make a list of all the errands. You have like your like business, right? So you're like, oh, let me do like goals for that. You
Even
know,
for
or
our
what I want.
podcast, like we have a to-do list that we all each have to bring to the table.
So how
for
come
it.
we don't have one goals for our marriage? That's crazy. I just thought about that right now. I'm like, wait, we should be setting the same things up for our marriages, because like right now I'm like
before you get
or
married.
before you get married.
Yeah.
I want like a healthy marriage.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I have a good marriage, but I feel like
There's always room for improvement.
I feel like I'm always praying that so that I can be a better wife, a better mother, a better daughter, a better like neighbor, a better, you know, like everything. Like I always just want to be better in all those areas, you know?
That's good.
Yeah, so.
And a lot of people look at counseling like, oh, like you're going there because your marriage is pretty much done,
Right.
you know?
Or there's something wrong with me.
Or something's wrong with you. And it's not.
I
I mean, I've never done it, but I would consider going to counseling. So
I think it'd be helpful. At the beginning of the year, me and Rudy like went to a coffee shop, and we had breakfast and coffee, and like we just like talked about our goals and expectations for the year, which we had never done before, and it's really cool. Some of the questions that we asked each other too were based on like the previous year, like what were our highs from this year, what were our lows, what were big things that were celebrated. And then what do we want to celebrate this year? What do we have coming up? You know, what are things that we want to do different? And it was pretty helpful. We liked doing that. So I would suggest people trying to
So
incorporate.
you've already done that. You did like
That's good.
goals for your marriage and stuff.
We did. Yeah.
I feel like I need to do that.
Yeah. And I had to like feed him, give him coffee, get him out of the environment. So we had to go away and go to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would not. He'd have been like on his phone or distracted.
Yeah.
And I was like, just don't be on your phone. Like just answer these questions.
I feel like this is more like girls. Like girls would do that. Like I
Yeah.
don't feel like guys would.
let's go write down our goals. No, I could never. No.
I think one thing we're trying to do
Your job
now
must say that, yeah.
is be more intentional with our time that we're spending. So like if we're just sitting down, like actually be in the moment versus I'm on my phone, he's on his phone, and my child's just running crazy, you know? So I'm like, no, we need to be off the phone, because then sometimes I'll look up and I'm on my phone, Papa's on his tablet, Daniel's on his phone, and I'm like, what is going on here? We're being ruined by technology.
That's us.
I heard
all the
someone
time.
said like watching TV or watching a movie is the lowest form of like communication and what is the word, intimacy. Like that's like the lowest thing on the scale.
Wow.
And like I feel like that's the thing that we will do the most. And like of course like we'll pray and read before we go to bed, but like why can't we just have conversation or play a game or like be intentional about some of those other things?
I can't even. That's crazy. It's the lowest, and I can't even watch a movie because Daniel falls asleep every single time.
So are we really being intimate and communicating?
No, I'm serious. Like every single time. First, he can't pick a movie to save our life. Like he's just scrolling.
Yeah, that part. That takes a whole hour.
That's so
sometimes.
annoying. Let me pick a movie. I can pick good movies right away, but then he's knocked out. I'm like, you missed the best part, and then I have to explain everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell him that, dude. This is the lowest form of like quality time, and you're knocked out snoring. Like, what is wrong
So
with
then,
you,
what are
buddy?
we really spending our time on? And like recently, we realized like taking a walk is really nice.
Yeah.
Like you're out, like it gives you a breath of fresh air. You're out of that environment, and I feel like we have really good conversations while we're walking.
Yeah. I mean, we do that a lot because we take Papa out a lot. So I guess we're good on that department. But
when it comes to being in the home, even on the dinner table, like when we're having dinner and we're on our phones, or Issa needs to have her tablet to be eating, like
trying to break that habit from
Yeah,
Papa.
we told ourselves like we're not gonna be on the phone or watch TV while we're eating.
Don't let your kid do that.
Yeah.
Because
I used
once
to
you
tell
do
my
it,
sister, I'm like,
Well, I'm like,
your
you don't
kids
even do it. So I'm gonna be like, Mom and Daddy don't do it, so you're not gonna do it.
no, but I feel like I messed up because me and Daniel don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But Papa's like, where's my tablet? And I'm trying to break that habit. Because I'm like, I'm freaking ruining you. Like, what is wrong with me? You know?
And they
Like,
look at you like, what? And
then,
you're taking my tablet away?
and then I did something. I taught Papa the password to down's tablet. So now he's like, he knows it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did I do that for? Yeah. So okay.
I know. Last time I tried to take the tablet away from Isa, and it was 8 p.m. and I was like, okay, no more iPad. And she's like, it's not 9. We're not going upstairs because they're not allowed to take their iPads upstairs. And I'm like, no. But I said no iPad because I'm trying to cut the time off, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
So
these kids are.
I do got a question because this is like, I feel like as women we set the expectation like over here, and then guys have theirs like over here. So what do you do when your expectations are like, they're not getting, how would you say that, like met? Like you're like, I expect you to like, just know this, you know? And then like, or you've already talked about it, so you're expecting it because you already talked about it. What do you do when those expectations aren't met?
So for me, I learned this like a few years ago. I watched this like YouTube marriage conference thing, and he talked about how expectations are not necessary in like relationships, like in your marriage. And the reason being is you can have untold expectations, so you can say them and maybe they're not listening or actually walking them out. Or in your mind you have like, I want to have X, Y, and Z done by this age, or this many children I expect to have by this. And then when those expectations aren't met, you kind of resent your partner, your spouse, because they're not being met, and they never knew that you had that expectation, and now you're treating them a certain way, and they're like, why are you doing that? Well, it's because I have these unmet expectations, and it's creating discord. And so yeah, I try really hard not to have like a lot of expectations.
Expectations go with just communicate, so you don't have to have these secret expectations, and then
are they beneficial?
And then just let go. Like I feel like I'm on the letting go of the control, because that's where I'm at right now. The letting go of the control part. Because I feel like as women, we're like, I want you to do the dishes, and then they're doing the dishes, and you're like, you're doing it wrong.
Right. We're just talking about that.
Like that's it. When I think about it, I'm like, okay, I'm crazy. That's
you're slow. Like I would have had them dishes done a long time ago.
Or I'm like, I'm just tired. If you can just wash the clothes, and then they're doing it, and I'm like, you fold them wrong. I'm like, dude, we're freaking crazy. Like
that is true.
Because I'm learning to let go of everything. Like, who cares if he doesn't wash it or fold it like I do, or wash the dishes like I do, or like
he helped you. That's all that matters.
You know, I'm just trying to focus on. I'm just blessed that you're doing it. I'm blessed that you are thinking enough of me that you're willing to do it.
Yeah. I feel I struggle with that with the girls. So I think this is why Dominic doesn't like picking their outfit and changing them. He did today because I was like, I'm just not gonna say anything. So he would just grab any shirt, any leggings or whatever, and I would always have something to say and be like, are you gonna put that on her? Like that's not the one. Like put her another shirt, put her another this. So he never likes changing them because of that. And today we had a conversation about it, and I'm like, I just want you to help because I'm always the one getting myself ready, getting the two girls ready, and you're just getting yourself ready. And I feel like you're not helping me. And I'm like, just learn. You have to learn how to do their hair. You have to learn how to change your daughters, right? What if I'm not here? I'm at work or something. And then he's like, okay. So then today he changed them, and I was like, I'm just not gonna say anything.
Yeah, we pick and choose our battles.
So it's hard, but you gotta let it happen, because when Papa was first born, it was like that. Like, I'm like, you're not packing enough, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I was like, and then as he's gotten older, you know, like he's about to be 4, I'm like, dude, you just gotta let go of everything, because who's gonna want to help you if you're criticizing everything?
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's good.
Like, I wouldn't want to help nobody or do anything if I know that I have to step on eggshells to do it.
And then when you do it, they have to, they have something to say.
I feel like women, we're just kind of...
We're undoing things too, because I think also culturally, like the women carry the load.
The men don't do anything.
Yeah, and sometimes women are just controlling, and we're trying to like break out of those things because it's not serving us purpose, and it's making it impossible to actually get help from our partners. Yeah. I also I want to say, like, a part of like dropping the expectations helps bring in more sacrifice. And so it's mostly about denying ourselves and sacrificing for the other person. Like, even though I can be prideful and I have every right to stand up for this thing, am I still going to be willing to say, forget it, I'm just going to sacrifice, even though you don't deserve that because you did X, Y, and Z, or you hurt my feelings? Will I let down my pride and still serve you? Like,
that's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
A very hard one for me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a lot better in all those areas, but obviously it's not something that you get better on and then you do excellent on every day. Every day is a struggle. Every day you learn to either, I feel like it becomes more, it's not that you get better, I feel like it's more an awareness thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Where you're like, nope, not gonna say anything. No, just let it go. You know.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, scratch that. You don't get better. You just are more aware of it, and then you become more intentional with like the things that you're gonna do. And like whoever came up with pick and choose your battles was very smart.
Yeah,
it is
choose
true.
wisely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there's battles that like I was like, we're going to war for this, and now I'm like, I don't want to. I don't have the capacity for it anymore.
You look back and you're like, why did I even fight for that?
Right. And
what was the point of even arguing about that? Like, there's
because there really is none. The one thing that I feel like I'm really learning right now too is we're on the same team. I think it's really easy to be like we're not even teammates, you know, we're enemies, and we're like fighting against each other, but ultimately we're on the same team.
It's crazy because like we are one.
Yes.
But we're attacking each other.
Right.
Yeah.
That right there.
And another powerful thing that I feel like I've learned is just like using the fact that, you know, we have God on our side and He's in our marriage, and when we invite Christ into our marriage, and you know, 1 Corinthians talks about the cord that isn't easily broken, the 3-strand.
So another thing is like if you've been arguing, right? Because there's days where everybody's in a bad mood and everybody's arguing. Whatever you do from personal experience, don't go to bed angry. Yeah. Like even you're basically gonna agree to disagree, but always make up before you go to bed. I know in the Bible there's something that says like don't let
the sun go down on your anger.
Yeah, because the enemy thrives on that. He loves separation. I feel like now that I have Christ and everything, that I know of that, I'm like, when I have gone to bed angry and down, I am restless, and I'm being like tormented in my
crazy dreams about it.
And then I'm like, that's what happens because I went to bed mad instead of being like, you know what, I love you, kiss. You know, we can agree to disagree. Like that's it, you know. Yeah. But
and because we know tomorrow's not promised and anything
that is true
happen, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want to go to bed with it like, you know, undone.
Yeah. But that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you for staying tuned and hit a like and follow us.
So that's a wrap. Stay tuned for next week's episode where we will be chatting about Easter Unplugged. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review if you like what you've heard. Make sure to also follow us on all your favorite social media platforms to stay tuned on all things Let's Sip and Chat.